I know.
Okay. Welcome back to the From the Fabricator podcast. I'm your host, Max Perlstein. Thank you so much for joining me. It is October. It is Glass Build Month. We got a couple of podcasts coming up right away. This one and then one from the magical glass build van going from LA to Las Vegas. So lots happening in the podcast space, but this one's a fun one. I've got the trio, Mike Sinan, Mike Willard, Terry Hessam from Salem and HHH. I'll dig into that with those guys, chop it up. Really good people. And then a new one for me, Vardan Mehta, who is from acelabsusa.com, Acelab, acelabusa.com is the website. Really good guy, good platform for reaching architects, something that we all want to do as manufacturers, brand new, startup company, good guy, architect, nice guy, and a good story. So those are coming up. So enough of my ugly mug and my voice. Let's get to the interviews. We're starting it off with Mike, and Terry, Salem and HHH. Okay. To start things off this month, I'm really excited. First, it's my first ever podcast with 3 guests on the same segment. 3 great guys, too. People that I've known for a long time. One longer than other, which I'll talk to Mr. Hessam about. But I'm being joined by Mike Willard, Mike Sinan, and Terry Hessam from Salem Fabrication Technologies. As I said to Mike before I started recording, it's hard for me to get used to that. So used to Salem distributing, Salem Fabrication Technologies, and HHH Glass Equipment. You can find the websites online, salemftg.com and hhhglassequipment.com. Those are the websites. I'll repeat them as the show goes on. But guys, thank you so much for joining the show.
Thanks for having us, Max. We appreciate it.
Awesome.
Appreciate you having us. Appreciate what you do for the industry.
Thank you. And same back to you guys. I mean, the support that Salem and HHH shows to the industry is huge. And obviously you'll be at Glass Build and we'll talk a little bit about that. But and again, your support of that and it is always appreciated. So I'll start with you, Mr. Willard. Salem, the new name, the company obviously has been doing incredibly well. Talk a little bit about, Salem, where it was and where it is now and where it's going.
Sure. Yeah. The reason for the name change, Max, is that we wanted to reflect in our name what we bring to the table. And, it's all about fabrication technologies and state-of-the-art equipment and supplies to service our customers. And so we want to get away from the word distributing because we're more than a distributor. Right. We collaborate with our vendors, both on the machine side and tooling side, to develop some of the best products in the industry. We continue to be the go-to solution for equipment and consumable supplies. And then on the service side, we've got well over 20 domestic trained technicians, and Terry will talk about this later. But we can service our customers' needs immediately. We don't have to wait, or the customer doesn't have to wait for a technician to fly in from a different continent. We're within hours of responding.
Which is huge. And then on the HHH side, Mr. Sinan, I'll throw this to you. HHH has also come a long way from, my past. It was an oven, and that was it. But now you've got a whole suite of things that you offer at HHH.
Yeah, that's true, Max. We decided, Terry and I, before Salem acquired us, decided a long time ago to go ahead and expand our product offering. So we were very selective with the vendors that we went after and selected. We vetted them all out, made sure that they were going to be a good partner, not only for the short term, but for the longevity of the company. And Salem bought us out. That marriage is working very well with us. I mean, we really embrace the culture and we embrace Mike and the team. And Mike was gracious enough to bring Terry and I onto the board and to the executive team. So, we have our input as to how we move forward. So we're glad to be here with everybody.
No, it is a super combination. I think your personalities, meld pretty well, and your focus and your cultures. So Mike Willard, any issues with the cultures when you're bringing HHH together with what you guys have?
Well, I tell you what, I've got to tell you, I'm very impressed with Mike and Terry. They came from a small organization. They made the decisions. They're able to make the decision with a phone call, coming to a larger company. I appreciate what they did and understanding our culture and understanding that, it might take a little bit longer to make decisions, but they've adopted our philosophy. I would say the cultures are blending together, melding together. We finally got our 2 technician groups together last month, and had a 4-day training session, and a lot of fun too. So that went a long way in getting the 2 groups together. But it's worked out extremely well. The HHH team and all the employees, they're understanding the ESOP culture and what it means to them as a retirement savings plan.
Nice, nice. And so, all right, so I've talked to Mike Willard, I've talked to Mike Simon, I've known you guys both a long time, but Terry Hessam and I go way, way back. And it's kind of interesting because for those of you who are watching and don't know, Terry and I both basically started at the same rung on the ladder. Terry now is a superstar, and I'm just a lowly podcaster. But it is nice that I could say that Terry and I started at the same time, where Terry was in charge of loading trucks. I was in inside sales, and every morning my day would start with Terry standing in front of me going, okay, these are the orders that didn't make the truck. You have to call the customers. So that was always an adventure. But Mr. Hessam, I got to ask, it's great to see you. This is got to be really cool for you to see your progression through the world of being in a fabricated world, then, moving into the equipment and working with HHH, working with Salem. It's got to be something really interesting and really cool for you to experience now in this new theme of life for you with these guys.
It is, but I mean, I look back, I have, I got great respect for, the Pearlstein family. I mean, my time there, it was an education. It was an education. It built a foundation for what I was able to accomplish later in my career. And, I owe a lot of it to, not only from the production standpoint, but it allows us to be able to offer a whole lot more to our customers out there as well. The experience that I can bring, be it through production, be it through equipment, be it through business. So, you guys taught me a lot.
Well, you were one person who did actually every single thing in the warehouse. So every single thing. So there's definitely no experience you did not have. I know that for a fact. So and that probably blends very well in your world with HHH and Salem. That's for sure. So Mike Simon, I'll throw this to you to start. 2022, how's it been business wise? How's it going? And are you happy?
I'm never happy, Max. I always want more, but my good partner and friend there, Mr. Hessam, puts the handcuffs on me once in a while and holds me back. It's been a good year. We've accomplished just about everything we were looking to do this year. Yeah. We launched a new product line with the Kodiak edgers and bevelers. We've been successful in shipping our furnaces thanks to our partners in Loyang, China, North Glass. They made it possible for us to get these shipments out, and we've truly expanded. I mean, we've increased our exposure in Canada as well as the U.S. and we have a lot of happy customers out there. And God bless God, we have not had the delays in terms of delivery and installations to date.
Yeah, it's probably because the shippers are afraid of the wrath of Mike Simon. That would be my
guess. I wouldn't go quite that far, but it consumes a lot of my time. Let me tell you that.
I would. Mike Willard, how about you guys? How about on the Salem side of things?
Yeah, Max, business has been very good this year. We continue to service our existing customers, bringing on new accounts as well. One of the big things we've really focused on would be our online web orders. And we're converting a lot of customers to order online. They've embraced that quite nicely, and we're trying to get to 30% of our customers order online. Our customers do love our inside sales team. We've got a great relationship with the customers through several of the inside folks, so that'll continue. But we expect it to finish out very good this year, and just really proud of our sales team getting out there and beating the streets every day.
Yeah, it's funny. You mentioned that they've embraced it. It's tough to go to that online ordering because this industry is so old-fashioned with it.
You're absolutely right.
So you've been successful in getting them to kind of move to this new version.
We have been. When you take a look at our customers, they're only ordering maybe 15 or 20 SKUs from us, right? It's going to be diamond wheels, cerium oxide, polishing wheels, things like that. So what we're able to do is go online with the customer, set up their favorites. Okay, so they don't have to go through 3,000 SKUs to find what they normally order. They're
Nice.
looking at 25 SKUs, and it's just real simple. The order gets sent to our customer service folks. They confirm it, make sure everything's in stock, and ships out the same day.
Super, super. I like that. And you have to do it right now because it's more efficient. And that's
It is.
what makes the difference.
Well, and you're right. We are stuck in our ways in the glass industry, but we have a lot of young faces coming up, and they want to use this thing to place an order, right?
Yes.
So when they're out in the shop and they need more diamond wheels, polishing wheels, whatever, they can do it on their phone.
No doubt. It's important. That's important. All right. So I'm with Mike Willard, Mike Sinan, Terry Hessam from both Salem Fabrication Technologies and HHH Glass Equipment. You can find them online. It's salemftg.com, hhhglassequipment.com. And a big thing for you guys is glass build. You always take a huge spot on the floor, always with something interesting, always, bringing some sort of excitement to the show floor. What is going on for this year? What do we have to look forward to in Las Vegas from your groups?
Well, from the equipment side, Max, we're going to be unveiling the new Denver Surface Mill and Drill machine.
Okay.
Be the first time displayed in North America. We're going to be operating the machine in the booth and giving demos and
Nice.
Give some lessons if people are that so inclined to see it operating like that. And we're also bringing one of our Kodiak 1045s.
Okay.
Which has not been displayed at the glass show prior to this. So we're going to bring them both to the show.
Wonderful.
We have vendors attending. We have North Glass will be in attendance from China, and Denver will also have representation in our booth as well. So
Gotcha.
We're really excited about the unveiling. So
it's going to be a fun show, and I think things like this is what gets people fired up, especially running machines like that. And the first time to see a machine, and the fact that you're offering some sort of tutorials. I think you're going to have people taking you up on that for sure.
Let's hope they take us up on signing the paperwork.
Hey, you're good at that. So you won't let them leave the booth until they do. I have a feeling. So yeah. So all right. Halfway through these podcasts, I always like to do a fun question. So it's a time for a fun one for each of you guys. And this week's question, or this podcast question for you guys, would be, what is on your bucket list sport wise? And my assumption with Terry being a fisherman, and I guess before you answer the question, Terry, did you see the controversy in the Bassmaster tournament with the guy stuffing the fish with ball bearings and things like that to make them heavier?
It was a walleye tournament up on Lake Erie, and you know what? Those guys, I found out they were actually from Hermitage, PA, too.
Oh wow, back in the old where we grew up, yes.
$9,000 purse that they had lead egg sinkers stuffed down in them, fillets from fish stuffed down in them. I thought those guys are lucky to get out of there with their life.
I've seen the video. Yeah, I've seen the video. They are lucky that they didn't get hung up by a string. So Terry, what's your sports bucket list, my friend?
My sports bucket list. I don't know that it's a tough year to be a Steelers fan. So but once a Steelers fan's always a Steelers fan. So we'll kind of power our way through this. But I'm an outdoorsman. And I hope to get back to some of my roots. My family has always been an outdoorsy type, but I haven't hunted in a long time. I don't get a chance to fish like I used to. So, and I'm not real particular on my fishing. Fishing's fishing for me. Mm-hmm. That's my way to relax. I work hard at it to try to be good at it.
Yeah.
But that's on my bucket list is to try to find more time so I can do those things, enjoy that time, teach my grandson. I have an 8-year-old grandson.
Nice.
That's who I want to bring up in the same culture that the Hessam family has always enjoyed.
Well, what a great culture it is. Your class act. So I love it. So good. I like that. Mike Willard, your sports bucket list.
Sure. Definitely love all kinds of sports. My wife and I love sports. First thing I want to do is visit every baseball park, Major League Baseball park.
Nice.
And I want to apologize to my friend Mike Sinan because he was going to say that too, but I knew I was going to go first. We love tailgating at college football games. Definitely want to go to some college bowl games. and want to check the box on the Kentucky Derby as well.
I like that, the Kentucky Derby for sure. My daughter got to go this past year and said it was an amazing experience. For college football, are you Wake Forest or because I know you're in Winston-Salem, but what's your college football team?
Well, I was born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio, so definitely
right.
Buckeyes. Yeah,
right,
number
right.
one. But yeah, always support the hometown team. So we go to a fair amount of Wake Forest games.
Gotcha. So I assume being a Buckeye fan, and I won't say the school that they beat to start the year because somebody else on this podcast would be very unhappy. You probably
Correct.
had a little bet, I assume, there on that game, or did he not take the bet?
He didn't take the bet. He was smart enough not to. But there's been a lot of good ribbing after the
Gotcha.
match. After the game.
All right. So Mr. Simon, my guess for you is, obviously in the Green Bay world. Am I correct?
That is correct. My bucket list is to see I went to the Green Bay Packers Super Bowl down in New Orleans.
Okay.
And I would like to go see my Green Bay Packers in another Super Bowl in the very near future, if at all possible. And I, of course, would attend the game because, and then as a second bucket list, I'd like to see my Notre Dame Golden Domers climb back to the top.
Yeah.
As they were when I was a kid growing up. So
okay, good.
Those are my two items.
I think you may be right on both of them. The Green Bay Packers showing a lot of resilience this past week, and Notre Dame coaches a great recruiting class coming in. So could be some good stuff. All right, so get a few more things because I know the three of you are swamped, and you're also in 3 different locations. So Mike Willard, Salem. I'm really curious because obviously Salem is more than just the sundry items for the glass world. You guys are in the stone. You deal with a lot of other trades. What are you guys seeing, you as management and your inside salespeople, seeing for forecasting in the economy, going forward into 2023? Positive, negative, so? What's the feel there?
No, you're right, Max. We do service 4 different divisions. I will tell you that 85% of our top line revenue comes from the glass division. So that's the one that brings us to the dance, and that's where we're most successful. As far as our forecast for the year, and I use a lot of different resources. One of the biggest ones I use is ITR Economics up in New Hampshire. In fact, Connor Lokar will be speaking at Glass Build. I've seen him speak many times. So folks, listen to him. Those folks are smart up there in New Hampshire. But we see inflation staying around through the 20s. We do expect a soft landing sometime in the first half of next year. And we see some trend upward during late Q3 and fourth quarter. So we think after we get through 23, 24, 25 should be some pretty good years.
Good. I like that. But I do know that if you're an ITR follower, that you're looking at 2030, scared to death like they are, right? I mean, because they scare the living heck out of you every time they talk about 2030.
Yeah. Very, very well and well versed on 2030. I'm glad I'll be retired at that time. But for those of you that don't really know what Max is talking about, they've been predicting a big depression right around 2030 or early 2030. So for you younger business owners out there, you really need to think about your exit strategy. And if you're too young to exit in 2030, you better start saving up some cash, get that war chest together, and make sure you're right sized with regard to employees, and you don't owe money. So a lot to be thinking about. I encourage everyone to check out ITR and maybe even subscribe to the services.
Yeah, and time flies. It may only be 2022 right now, but boy, time flies. It'll be here before you know it. A few more items. One of the things that really impressed me about you guys, and I know this is probably what Terry may speak about, is service. It is such a crucial thing. And yet I see people taking it for granted. I see that it's kind of like, there's no focus on being, proactive with regards to service. There's no working with folks like you guys to make sure that your service is always covered. Why is that? And how important really is service? Am I blowing this up? Am I, maybe I'm off. What do you guys think about the service side of things?
My opinion here, I mean, we've always felt that our level of service and our commitment to our customer success has set us apart from, those that would compete with us. I mean, I look at, price is always going to be a factor with some buyers, but, service is the afterthought for them. That experience typically brings business back around to us or back to our doorstep at some point.
Right.
On the service side, we constantly work to increase our tech team staffing and the capabilities to better service our expanding customer base. It's a constant work in progress. We work towards continuous improvement there. So, yeah, I think it's probably one of the most important things out there in a buying decision in today's world.
And go ahead, Mike. Sign in. I think
Yeah, I'd like to add to that. I'm in Southern California this week. It's the number one topic when I walk into the glass fabricator. The lack of maintenance personnel, the lack of getting vendors out to service their machines, the slow response time. That's all we talked about all morning today with several fabricators. And it's everywhere I go, whether it's Florida, California, Washington, the Midwest, it's the number one complaint I hear.
Yeah. So. And kudos to you guys for making it something that you excel at, because I think there was an opening in the market for that. And you obviously identified that and went to town on it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So to wrap things up, you guys were past winners of Best in Show at Glass Build. Real impressive booths, always kind of in the running every year. Anything special planned for this year, or are you keeping it under wraps before the judges see it in a couple of weeks?
Well, other than the unveiling of the Surface machine, that's right. About all we have planned. But stay tuned for Atlanta, because we have something special for you in Atlanta.
That's right, Atlanta.
It'll be a first for our group. So.
All right, Atlanta 2023, you guys will be there. Mike Willard, anything final from you?
Yeah, just to kind of answer your question, Max, as far as what's new at Glass Build, we had to realign ourselves with some of our diamond tool vendors. And I tell you what, it's been a breath of fresh air finding other diamond tool vendors that have provided us with better tooling. So we're very pleased to unveil that at the show. We've worked well with these vendors, and we're going to be very successful with this new line. So stop by our booth, everyone. Be more than happy to show you our new line of equipment tooling.
Absolutely, definitely want to see that. And will Dan Reinhardt be dapper dressed again? That's the. Yeah.
He will, yeah. So he selected our shirts that we'll be wearing. But yeah, Dan he is the fashionista here at Salem, and we let him handle that.
I mean, he's unbelievable. I mean, I thought he was working like Milan, Italy, instead of Glass Tech last week because of how well he was dressed.
I saw him walking across the parade grounds there in Glass Tech, and I said to Mike Willard, I said, "Man, that European guy is dressed very well." He goes, Dan Reinhardt, Mike. I went, "Oh my God."
He looks the part. Any final thoughts, Mr. Hessam?
None for me. And you may want to edit this part of it out, but yeah. So yeah, I mean, I won't be at Glass Build. This will be one of the first shows that I've missed in a long time, and I miss that. I like to go see where the trends are going. But yeah, this one, our commitments for equipment installations, they take priority here. So that's where I will be while you guys are enjoying Vegas.
I kind of set you up for that. I didn't know that you weren't coming to Glass Build, and we talk about service, and here you're blowing off the show of the year because you got to be like on the service trail. So that's it's we did not even plan this. My gosh, it must be you and I going way back to it's 1992 all over again. So
whatever it takes, Max, whatever it takes, right?
Absolutely. I'll give last words to Mr. Simon, because if I don't, he'll beat me up. Mike,
we appreciate you bringing us on, Max, and being able to share with our peers within the industry. We just wish everybody to stay healthy. Enjoy, come on out to Vegas and see us, embrace the culture of the NGA, and let's move forward.
Absolutely. Thank you. That is huge. So thank you, Mike Simon. Thank you, Mike Willard. Thank you, Terry Hessam. Salem and HHH, great guys. Find them online, salemftg.com and hhhglassequipment.com. See them at the show. You won't be able to miss them. A couple of new machines that'll be running. And guys, thanks so much. I'll see you soon.
Take care,
Max. Great seeing you.
Okay. Next up on the podcast, I've got somebody that a lot of you may not know now, but you will know in the future, and you will definitely know his site in the future. It'll be a big part of your world. I'm being joined by Vardan Mehta. He is the co-founder and CEO of Acelab. You can find them online at www.acelabusa.com. My friend, how are you? Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast.
I'm doing really well and really happy to be here, Max.
So I'm thrilled when I tell the audience that they're going to get to know you, and we're going to get to know you too. We're going to talk about your past, talk about your product, talk about your company, and I'm excited because I do think it's one of those disruptor, transformational things that will really help our industry, especially with our industry. Everybody wants to get in front of an architect. Everybody wants to get in, and you, my friend, hold the key. So I like that approach. So, but let's start about you, because I what was exciting about me getting to know you is that you're an architect who comes from a family with a father who's an architect. So I like that. I like the genes there. But talk about your past, growing up in India, and becoming an architect, and then coming over to the United States.
Happy to, happy to. Yeah, so I'm originally from a small town in central India. Growing up, spent a lot of time in my dad's office, who also had a startup like me. In his case, it was his architecture office. My uncle is a structural engineer. So growing up, learned a lot about the profession and the industry. And really, the things that my dad enjoyed about being an architect and the things that he was sometimes frustrated with about being an architect. And oftentimes, it came down to the same thing. It was like being involved in a project team where you have to constantly collaborate with, starting from the owner, the GCs, consultants, and so on, everybody on the project team. When he was starting out, when I was really young, in his first office, it was really small. He just had these like 2 rooms. One was a drafting room. So I'm talking like late 90s in India. Almost every architect was still hand drafting that time.
Right.
And the other room was like this weird storage room, which I didn't quite understand or appreciate when I was younger. But eventually, he told me that this is called a product library, or like this is where you go as an architect, when you need to find inspiration or you need to research the right products to recommend or specify on a project. And I would like constantly, see him just run back and forth between the 2 rooms. And oftentimes also like, see him yelling on the phone with a floor tile manufacturer saying like, hey, the information or the product, the tiles that we ordered for this project were based on the information in this brochure, but the thing that reached the site is something completely different. So like, what's going on? Eventually, I told him I'd like to become an architect as well. And he said the practice in India is too old-fashioned and like slow to change. So you should go to the architecture school in US to learn the more like innovative and tech-driven ways of practicing in this field. So I did. I came to New York when I was 17 to Pratt Institute for my bachelor's in architecture. Worked really hard there. Had a lot of all-nighters and was able to graduate at the top of my class, which helped me land a job at a top 10 architecture firm in the city. There I was working on projects for the State Department, which were US embassies around the world, and then institutional buildings for MIT and Yale. And after a few years, I started my grad school at Harvard. And during that time, I co-founded Acelab.
Incredible. So a couple things to back up on. First is your dad's product library. Now looking back at it, you didn't know what it was then. How impressive was that? Because he was probably ahead of his game back then to have everything in your, it was a storage area, but he had everything. That's got to blow you away. He was ahead of the game like that.
Yeah, and I think it can be hard to keep track of exactly which part of the product library you should go to find like what kind of product, just because we have to deal with so many products every single day. But I think like the other thing which I found interesting was like he would also often have like reps show up to the office to give their latest brochure for that year or like the revamped product lines. But eventually, as I was practicing at this firm in New York, I saw that even we had a huge product library at the back of the office, where sometimes I would be asked to spend, a few hours to just go through the brochures and like find the right catalog that may be relevant for that project.
Sure. And now also my other question is, I've only known you for a couple months. You're an incredibly impressive guy. I've told you that personally. I'll tell the world that on this podcast. So I'm not worried about you coming over at 17, but I'm curious, you get to New York at 17 years old. I mean, A little bit of a difference from Central India. How was that?
Just a small change, nothing significant.
I mean, I gotta have, what was there anything that threw you off when you first got to New York? I gotta have at least that first experience. I mean, I'm 54. New York still freaks me out. So I can only imagine being 17 from Central India and being probably in the middle of Manhattan going, okay, I'm starting college.
I'll tell you one story to keep it short, but I think it very accurately sums up my experience in New York, where I lived for 8-9 years. In my freshman year, during the winter break, I was taking the train from New York to go to Jersey to meet some relatives and spend some time with them. And, I'd pulled all-nighters. It was like the finals week, the week before. And so I was really tired. And I'm on the train. I know the stop I'm supposed to get off at, but I don't have too much experience with the subway system at this point.
Oh, wow.
So I missed that stop. And I wake up like 2 stops later. Now, intuitively, I knew that I can just get off here and then just cross over to the other side, the other direction, take the train back to stops.
Right.
But I was terrified. I was like, I don't want to get lost. So I just stayed on the train. I stayed on the train for an hour and a half until it eventually looped back to the same. Yeah.
Oh my
I was
gosh.
like, I'm just gonna sketch something for the next hour, and time will, just fly by, and I'll be at the same place again, and I'll just get off there.
I give you credit. I'd still be on that train. I would never get on. It'd be such a wreck. I give you credit. I mean, in Germany, a lot of, when I was there for Glass Tech, there's the trains, and I picked a hotel that I could walk to the show because I always would get lost on the trains because my sense of direction is terrible. I give you a ton of credit there. So again, so you get to New York, you go to school, you work your way through it, you get the job at a nice firm, Harvard. Obviously, nothing more needs to be said. That's very impressive. But now you start up Acelab. And that's how you and I got to know each other. Let's talk about Acelab. What is it? And how did it all come about?
Yeah. So during my time in practice, I saw myself and then also my other friends from undergrad who were at all these different firms in the city. I was constantly having to research and specify what products to use on my projects. And during that time, I felt 3 big challenges. The first one was this huge information gap, where I think as the core job of an architect or a specifier, you could arguably also say the same for a few other stakeholders on a project team or in the industry. But I think our job is to know something about everything. It's not always expected of us that we know everything about everything. It's also impossible, really.
Sure.
So for any architect or specifier to have a very strong understanding of all the building products, systems, and assemblies out there, it's just unrealistic. And I often found that I struggle with that a lot as a young architect. And I know that my friends also have that problem. And oftentimes I would see that due to that as a core challenge that even slightly more experienced architects were facing at my firm, we would often start speaking to or collaborating with manufacturers pretty late in the project.
Right.
And that would often lead to a lot of back and forth, long email threads, a lot of phone calls, just revisions to the spec all the time. And the second challenge I experienced was information overload. Mm-hmm. I think you can argue that, few decades back when there were these books called suites, which were
suites,
the catalogs,
yep.
Every architect, I think, at least in North America, had it in the office. And it was a very easy way to be able to research the products, just this very standardized format. Everything is in the books. And then internet happened. And now you often see that the big guys in any product subdivision may have really good user-friendly websites, but for most manufacturers, sometimes it can be hard. And I know that manufacturers still invest a lot of time to make it easy for an architect or a specifier, but the problem really is that information is not all in one place.
Right.
So as an architect, you have to have 100 tabs open and you're doing your research on a few manufacturers or the 2 or 3 you might, include in the spec constantly.
Right.
And that just like leads to a lot of, valuable design time being used on this, like almost like administrative task of just like trying to find the right technical attribute or spec to, review with the team internally or to hand over to a contractor or to review with the owner. And then the third problem I think of is like information asymmetry.
Uh-huh.
A lot of the times I felt that, as architects, where we have this like friction with the sales teams or like the product experts from a manufacturer, where like we don't want to get hassled by a sales rep. We don't want to share too much information about a project too early. And when we don't do that in schematics or DD stage, but like really hold it off until like CDs, that's when we're asking a lot of them. And we're just like essentially hoping that, the product that we are requesting to get information for, somehow it'll like seamlessly fit into all the work we've already done on that project.
Right.
The details and drawings, everything that's already in place. And that's not usually the case. And in my experience, actually, I found the product experts that were shared with me, from my firm, the product experts we trusted, had known for years. I found them to be the biggest and the most valuable resource to 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 get educated or to learn about a system that I don't quite understand as well. And I think, at the same time, you can imagine that every architecture firm has their own like Rolodex, but there is no like open source Rolodex where you can like easily just speak to a rep as opposed to having to dial the 800 number for a manufacturer.
Right.
Take you, a few days to be able to find the rep that is like the right person for your technical question or for like the location of your project.
Sure.
Since like the code requirements and everything varies so much in the US.
Sure. Sure. So then you so all these problems, you saw these as problems, and you set out to start Acelab to answer and be the solution for those problems.
Yeah, like I really thought that, there should be a streamlined way for architects, specifiers, and builders to be able to research, compare, and select the products that they want to use on their projects. And, apart from just the job that we all have or the task that we need to do, I also firmly believe that design has the ability to influence the outcomes of the built environment. And I think, like, as professionals in this industry, it is our responsibility to make sure that we're always using or choosing the products responsibly. We understand, the systems that we're using, and only, choosing the products that don't just fit the bill or are convenient for us to find from our experience or like the experience of the firm in the past, but rather the products that actually are the most appropriate for that project.
Perfect. So again, I said at the beginning of the show, so it's Acelab USA, ACELAB USA.com. And you go there and bam, you see, right now it's Windows. And that's how you and I got connected is that, it's you picked one product line to start off with. Instead of throwing yourself into every product an architect needs, which is a ton, you decided on Windows. And so it's kind of a Windows paradise right now. And so window manufacturers have that opportunity to get their product out in front of thousands of architects, which is huge, which is what you want. And that's the core, I believe, of what you're trying to get across with Acelab.
Yeah, so we work very closely with the top spec writers in the US to create a uniform database structure. Like, the way I think of it is almost like a language where if you're an architect and all the projects you've done until a certain time, you've used aluminum systems, but now you have a requirement for any reason to use a steel window system.
Sure.
And for you to be able to understand like who are the players in the market, what options are available, how much can a product be customized, feasibilities, the technical requirements, and so on. We were able to structure all of this data for almost every window manufacturer available in the US into one standardized format. So that's the first part where like that makes the research and being able to compare the different product options available from a manufacturer super easy, and you can do that instantly. Um, Apart from that, you can also reach out to the reps
Right.
based on your location, the location of the firm, or the location of the project. You can start collaborating with reps from that manufacturer through Acelab. And we do that because a lot of the times, I think, for technical questions, uh, there's this like back and forth from an architect and a manufacturer to make sure both sides have enough information to be able to help each other. And in our case, we make sure that for every project on the platform, usually in schematics or as early as like DD, we make sure that there's a profile of the project, which an architect is able to share with a manufacturer, based on which may also include like the floor plans, schedules, details, and so on. Enough information for a manufacturer or a product expert on their team to be able to respond and help that architect.
And what I like is you're an architect. You come from a family of architects. Your co-founder and staff are filled with architects. It's basically architects building something for other architects. And as a manufacturer, that's my background. What got me going, and I've written about it on my blog a million times, is that we're desperate for the attention and approval of architects. Well, here you've now kind of created something where it's on a silver platter for us. Here, this is what we want. This is what really works for our field. We know because we're a part of it. Jump on in, and I like that. And I think right now you've had some great reaction from people who have used, at least from the people that I've talked to in my time, getting to know you. The reaction of Acelab's been fantastic, right?
Yeah, we've been very fortunate to get a lot of really good attention and feedback from architects. So a feedback, we heard from the early adopters of the platform on the demand side, architecture firms, builders as well, was that, well, right now you guys only have windows. When are you planning to like horizontally expand this to other subdivisions and product divisions? So that we don't, only rely on Acelab when we need to like research windows, which is not a task, of course, happening every single day of the job. And so since then, in the last like month or two now, we're expanding to other subdivisions like related to building envelope products as well. So we've already started onboarding data and product types for Division 7, and we'll keep growing the platform that way. Another thing I want to mention is, due to our frustration or our experience in practice and our interest as well as architects, and I think I've seen that in my conversations with a lot of different stakeholders in the industry, the openness to keep learning every single day, even where you're practicing in that field. We took a big interest in education. So on Acelab, we do have a lot of courses that architects, builders, contractors can take to learn more about building science, and like really like things that are like very practical and applicable in the field, and are always like really helpful for you to keep learning them. And then right now we have about 3,100 firms roughly signed up on Acelab, using it to research products and then also to select products. And we'll keep sort of expanding our base. We do find that a big part of our audience right now on the demand side is like split into these like two groups. The first is like architects or design professionals that are like more entry level or have started and just like are trying to find more easier or seamless ways of being able to sort of absorb this information and be able to contact and communicate with manufacturers. And then on the other side, we do see a lot of interest from home builders as well, mainly the ones who are doing projects that have high performance requirements, net zero, passive house, and so on. And then also custom home builders. So that is how I would describe like the audience on the demand side.
It's tremendous. And it must make you feel good that, that people are saying, hey, where's the rest of the products? Where are the other subdivisions? That's got to make you feel like, hey, we're on the right track.
Yeah, I mean, I think, our goal, so Acelab is free to use for any specifier. And our goal is truly to make sure that we can create an impact in this industry where it can hopefully lead to some innovation in like this process of specifying products, which I think most people would agree that hasn't quite changed as much, in how we do this in the last few decades. So we're really hoping for this to be a really good influencer and like really like take the industry in the right direction.
You're headed in that right direction, that's for sure. So I am with Vardan Mehta, co-founder and CEO of Acelab. You can find them online, acelabusa.com. Check it out. Fun question. I always break up the podcast halfway through with something fun. My question for you, my friend, since you're my favorite architect, and somebody from the Peanut Gallery would say he's the only architect you know. No, he's my favorite architect. Tell me, what's your favorite architectural project of all time? What's the project that you're like, hey, I love it?
Oh, that's a deep cut. Oh boy.
It is a deep cut. I'm struggling with my own myself, and I've looked at this question for the last couple of days, and I don't even know mine.
Now you'll hear, and the audience will hear me just like geek out on like what's my brand of architecture.
Go for it.
So I'll start with an architect first, and then go into the project if that's okay.
Yeah, please.
An architect I have really respected, and like read about a lot throughout school and then also in practice is Buckminster Fuller.
Okay.
Who I think was like a very good combination of, not only thinking of architecture in terms of like just pure aesthetics or theory, but also like the technical and like scientific and like geometry and all of these things, which are like also so ingrained into the profession. So I really, really, admire his work a lot. And then for the project, I don't know, if I'll get appreciation or hate for this, but my favorite project would be Fondation Louis Vuitton in France by Frank Gehry. And I say that because the assembly system in that project are phenomenal. You have this the wood structure that is attached to this like very light steel armature, and then you have like these like enclaves, like these really beautiful enclaves that create amazing spaces on the outside of the building and then also inside the galleries. So that I would say is probably my favorite project.
I like it. I like it. No, great taste. I knew you would come with something classic and something great, and you did. So you came through for me for sure. So you're good. You're good. A few more questions because I know you are swamped. Wanted to ask you, because you are dealing with so many different people in so many different fields, not just the window folks, but having to build out Acelab and and dealing with manufacturers, architects. What is the feel on the economy out there? How's everybody feeling about our future 2023? What's the vibe you're getting from the folks you talk to?
I can't really speak for this, at the scale of the industry, but at least from the manufacturers and the architects that I've been speaking to, it seems like the same effect is happening on both sides, where demand generation is not quite the issue at hand. It's rather production. And I think with architects and manufacturers, I've been hearing a lot that they're turning away RFPs for new gigs, which is interesting.
Interesting, very interesting. Yeah.
But at the same time, I think I've also been hearing a big interest from both sides of trying to find more of the work that they really think of as their own sweet spot.
Sure.
So for an architect, it could be that we want to find certain projects as we've done in the past of the firm, and we've had like a really good experience, or we really have expertise in that. And I think from manufacturers, I've been hearing sort of the same thing, that like we really think that this geography or project type is like our sweet spot, and we would love to see more of that, as opposed to all the other RFPs that we're getting like every single day.
Do you think that's because of the labor pressure? Because I know architects have the same labor issues that manufacturers have, that if you're good at schools and all you want to do is work on schools, you stick with that because your team and everybody knows how to do that. You don't have to kind of go outside your box.
Yeah. I think it can be incredibly difficult for architects to be able to break into a new project type. When if you have a strong track record of doing excellent healthcare projects, and then after that you want to go into educational projects, that can be like its own beast.
Night and day.
It can be very difficult.
Yeah, night and day. Yeah. No doubt, no doubt. Very interesting, very interesting. So back onto Acelab. If I'm a manufacturer, which I used to be back in the day before I became this world famous podcaster, that's a joke there, but I'm trying. How do you jump on the platform? I'm a window guy, and I want to make sure that my products are on there. I want to make sure. Do I just go to Acelab USA, hit the contact button, or what do I do to get involved in your great platform?
Yeah. So we raised some investment from venture capital last year. And due to that, we're lucky that we haven't had to rush to revenue, but can rather take time to really make sure that we have established and created the right value for both sides of our users. And so right now we're just forming, some introductory pilot partnerships with manufacturers for every product niche or subdivision on the platform. So it may be, say, 1 to 2 for a product subdivision in division 8 or 7, and then slowly, of course, we scale the platform more from there. But right now, if you're interested to learn more about the platform, or just speak to me about what you're seeing in your business as a manufacturer, or even any other stakeholder, if you're just interested to learn more about Acelab, and if there's any way for us to work together and to collaborate, you can DM me on LinkedIn. You'll also find my email on LinkedIn or on Acelab site. And yeah, would love to chat with you.
Super, super. I am with Vardan Mehta, co-founder and CEO of Acelab. Acelabusa.com is the website. And it's a great platform. So last question, 5 years from now, you're a startup now. 5 years from now, where are we going to see you? You won't be talking to me. You'll be on Joe Rogan's show. You'll be on all the bigger podcasts. But in 5 years, aside from talking to Joe Rogan, where else are you going to be? Where's Acelab going to be in 5 years?
No, I'm still going to be talking with you, Max, always. Throughout my life, I promise. So, I think our envisioned future is for Acelab to be the single source of truth when it comes to building products. We want to make sure that it can be the centralized place where a project team, it may be starting more upstream with an architect. And then also as the project flows through CVs and then crosses over to more the contractor side, that handoff also happening on Acelab. And then the contractor being able to see all the prior work being done by the architect, conversations with manufacturers related to product support, specifications, being able to see all of that information in one centralized place, as opposed to that being split, between long email threads and phone calls and local servers for every firm. We really want to make this be, that one centralized place for the entire project team, starting from the architect, going to the contractor, all the way to a project planner or client or owner.
This is perfect. That's what we've wanted. That's what the industry needs. I think that this definitely fills a specific need. And you laid out the issues previous in the podcast that architects have, and I think you've given a solution to it. And then from a manufacturer side, we want to get into that spot. And so I think it serves both masters very, very well. So my friend, thank you so much for taking the time. I look forward to seeing you in person one of these days at a show or an event. But I'm really excited to follow the path of Acelab and Acelabusa.com on your path to a rocket ship to the moon, my friend. I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much, Max. Really appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right, that wraps things up for this month. I'd like to thank my guests, Mike Sinan, Mike Willard, Terry Hessam. Awesome to have them. Vardan Mehta, great to have him as well. And I always talk a little TV here. I don't have a lot to talk about. I'm more looking forward. White Lotus coming back October 30th, a different location. Won all the awards. Really interesting, deep, kind of quirky sort of show. Mythic Quest, funny show. Pure props to Melanie Detmer and Andrew Herring for turning me on to that one. So those two shows coming up at the end of October, beginning of November. And just always on the lookout for new stuff and new shows. But we are in the middle of glass build time, so I have no time to watch TV. Because right now it is all about the big show. Look forward to seeing you in Las Vegas or somewhere along the way. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for watching. Really appreciate it. And we will see you next time.
Oh, the music is stopped.